Welcome to the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. Zach LaVine is the topic of today's show because an NBA writer actually said that the Heat need to trade for LaVine. The disgruntled guard in Chicago has been shopped quite a bit this NBA offseason. We've talked about him in the past, but I do want to re-examine a potential Zach LaVine move. But make sure you are following me over on Twitter. At Nic_Rohloff is my handle, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Either way, I'm talking about the Miami Heat on a daily basis, and when the Heat season officially begins in October with training camp and the preseason, you won't want to miss a thing surrounding the Heat, so make sure you're following me on Twitter and make sure you are subscribed as well. All right, we've talked about Zach LaVine quite a bit here on the channel, as he is someone that could be easily grabbed via trade by the Miami Heat, and it would likely not cost as much as you would think for someone who could potentially give you 24 plus a game if he is fully healthy. Frederick Okocha was the person who had the note on LaVine. He said that if LaVine can regain his form and stay healthy, he has the potential to return to his all-star level of play. His past performance as a starter for Team USA in the 2021 Olympics and his all-star selection in the 21-22 season should not be overlooked. And I was curious, he mentioned the Olympic Games because he actually was teammates with Bam Adebayo when they won in 2020, but these specific stats are from the 2021 Olympic Games that were exhibition games from them. He played 4 games, started 2 of them, and played 20 minutes a night. He was actually the 3rd leading scorer on those games, averaging 10.8, and you see the efficiency, shooting 53.6% from the field and 41.8% from 3. We have documented this in the past. There is no doubt that when healthy, Zach LaVine is one of the better scorers in the NBA. It has been something that you can say about LaVine in every single year of his career. Once he really moved away from Minnesota and was able to blossom in Chicago, in the Windy City, he became a different basketball player, and he became an all-star caliber player. I mean, you just go back 4 years ago in the 2020-21 season when he really bursted onto the scene. He averaged 27 a night while shooting 51% from the field and 42% from 3. LaVine gets to the rim. He's able to finish through contact amongst the trees, as well as on top of you with some explosive bunnies. And he's able to get to a spot in the mid-range. 3-point step backs, side steps, off the catch. LaVine is one of the better 3-point scorers at all 3 levels of the court, but the question is, can he stay healthy? And that's always been the question with LaVine dating back to his Minnesota days when he tore an ACL and then over the last 4 seasons with Chicago having minor injuries and then practically missing the entire 23-24 season with that foot injury, and you don't even mention in the contract quite yet. LaVine's got a lot of questions around him, but there's no debating that he is a really good scorer. Let me know, before we continue this conversation, are you interested in the idea of acquiring Zach LaVine via trade before the NBA season gets underway in mid-October? We're basically 2 months away to the date from the Heat's first game. Let me know, though. Are you interested in Zach LaVine? Y for yes or N for no? Well, Frederick said that the Heat need to be in. For a team like the Miami Heat, who have been on the brink of another championship, LaVine should be a trade target. His ability to create his own shot would alleviate some of the offensive burden away from Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. And whenever you're talking a Zach LaVine trade, this is the ultimate risk-reward situation. And it could get really ugly for Zach LaVine if he came to Miami, and it could get bad for the Heat organization and their long-term roster construction and building, but it also could be the move that gets Miami over the top in the Eastern Conference, among the top 2 or 3 teams in the East, and potentially able to win an NBA championship over the next year and a half, 2 years, if LaVine ultimately works out. We'll discuss more on that in just a second. But we do got to give a major shout out to our sponsor on today's show. That is Game Time. Game Time is the only way you need to get your tickets whenever you're going, whether it be a sporting event, concert, comedy show. It doesn't matter. Game Time is the best place to get your tickets, and it's where I get my tickets down in Dallas. Game Time also just rolled out a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You get that all-in pricing too as well, which is my favorite feature. Toggling this feature allows you to see the total of your ticket up front, which means you're not going to be surprised by any fees at checkout. And with football season just around the corner, if you live in the Miami area, you can go check out the Dolphins as they host the Jaguars and the Bills to start off this NFL season. But if you're somewhere else, you can go to your respective favorite teams as well. Local teams, comedy shows, concert. Like I said, Game Time has tickets for every single area in the country. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Well, the biggest risk with Zach LaVine is undoubtedly his contract. And you might say, well, the injury concern is there too, which is true, but the real issue is the contract mixed with the injury. And because Zach LaVine's getting paid $40+ million over the next 3 seasons, it could be 4 years. $43 million this year, $46 the year after, $49 million in 26-27 with a 2026-27 player option. That is for that final season of his contract. So it's 3 years realistically coming back. Like, if you trade for Zach LaVine and he ultimately stinks, he declines coming off that foot injury, or he just continues to be injured, this contract could sink you. It could put you maybe 6-7 years back from competing, because if he's bad and can't stay on the court, but you're allotting $45 million a season over the next 3 years to that player, that only limits you in terms of who you have on the court, allowing you to win games, but also makes it incredibly difficult for you to go acquire better talent and players out there to make your team even better. That's the risk on Zach LaVine. But the reward can be so good as well. This is really a gambler's dealer's choice here, because when you think of LaVine, and we've documented how good of a scorer he actually is, but when you look deep into his career, look at his career shot chart, man. And we've shown shot charts in the past. Dark blue, good. Light blue, bad. There are a lot of dark blue. One of the best corner three-point shooters ever since he joined the NBA. Look how dark blue that is. And then look at the other blue, the volume, the consistency of him shooting above the break. He is really good. And then even when he gets that mid-range just inside the three-point arc, outside of the free throw line, he is incredibly efficient there as well. And he is a really good scorer at the rim as well. Zach LaVine can do it at all 3 levels. And it is so impressive to me to see how he can score the basketball in the NBA. And when you think specifically at his three-point shooting, it's even more impressive for Zach LaVine. He shoots an incredibly good average from the corners. Like I mentioned, one of the best three-point shooters from the corner there is. 44% and 48% in those 2 respective marks, which is 6% and 10% better than league average. He's better league average at every other point as well. Right wing, top of the key, left wing, does not matter. He is one of the most efficient and best three-point shooters in the NBA. And you see that number at the bottom of your screen as well. Basically 59.1% in the restricted area at the rim, which is 2% better than league average. And we've also noted how Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero are 2 of the worst finishers at the rim that the NBA has. Zach LaVine would absolutely change that. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because we're going to have daily content on the Miami Heat. Doesn't matter what, we will break it down. We will talk about it, how this Heat team could improve, how the issues are going to affect this team. Make sure you're subscribed, because when the season starts in a couple months, you won't want to be anywhere else. All right, this is the trade. And if we're talking about trading for LaVine, we obviously got to talk about what the Heat would have to give up. And in this specific deal that was cooked up probably about 2 months ago, we talked about it on a different show in the past. This is what a Heat trade could potentially look like. The Bulls receive Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. The Heat get LaVine, a first-round pick from the Portland Trailblazers that is lottery protected, and then 2 second-round picks. And this one intrigues me. I will be honest, because it's the only trade that I would probably consider to do a LaVine deal. Because of how wild the risk reward is, I'm not giving up any assets here. And sure, Tyler Hero is an asset, but most Heat fans want him gone anyway, right? And if LaVine ends up hitting, he's a better player than Tyler Hero. And I know a lot of people are going to be concerned about Duncan Robinson leaving this roster, but with the additions of Alec Burks and Paul Larson, I think Duncan Robinson's spot on this roster could be replaced relatively soon. And then you also have Josh Christopher on a two-way deal waiting in the pipeline who could fill that role potentially as well. So I'm not that concerned about losing Duncan Robinson. And if you are making this deal, you're potentially getting a Tyler Hero upgrade in Zach LaVine, but you're also getting some draft capital in a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks, which would allow you to make a separate trade using those picks at the trade deadline, or hold on to them and build up your own draft capital as well. So before I give you my full answer on why I would or wouldn't do this trade, let me know what you would do. Type A for accept or type D for decline. I think I would take a swing on a Zach LaVine trade, specifically the deal that we just showed where the Heat give up LaVine or give up Hero and Duncan Robinson, get LaVine and multiple draft picks. You get a person who is rehabbing his stock. You get him at his lowest point value. You get someone who could average 20 plus a game as he's done over the last 4 seasons of his career. He's one of the most efficient 3-level scorers in the NBA when fully healthy. And although the contract is very, very bad, it is something that I think I might be willing to do because guess what? If it doesn't work out, you have Jimmy Butler coming off the books, and if you just want to blow it up and say, well, we swung for the fences with Jimmy, Bam, and LaVine, it didn't work, Jimmy can walk, let LaVine's contract run out to an expiring, deal him, and then just completely reset with Bam Adebayo in a couple of years. The swing, the risk reward might be worth it. I'm also a bit of a gambler, so I think I'd be willing to take the risk and go for the cheese, if you will. All right, make sure you do follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff because we're talking about the Heat over there on a daily basis, just like here on YouTube. So if you want wall-to-wall coverage on Heat basketball, subscribe and follow me at Nic_Rohloff.